I found the photos on a Tuesday night. Not on my phone, on hers, my sister-in-law's phone. She left it on my kitchen counter while she went to the bathroom, and the screen lit up with a notification. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the preview showed a picture. And in that picture was my wife, with another man, his hand on her waist, her head on his shoulder. They were laughing. I felt my stomach drop like I'd been shoved off a cliff. My hands started shaking. I couldn't breathe. I picked up the phone. I swiped. There were more, so many more. Different days, different outfits. Same man, same smile. And my sister-in-law had them all, every single one. She knew, she'd known, and she never said a word. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button now. Your support means everything to me. If you've ever felt underestimated by your own people around you, you'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next. When she came back into the kitchen, I was still holding her phone. She froze. Her face went pale, then red. Then she tried to smile like nothing was wrong. I didn't smile back. I just held up the screen. She saw what I was looking at and her whole body went stiff. For a second, neither of us said anything. Then she whispered, "I can explain." I didn't want an explanation. I wanted the truth. I asked her how long she'd known. She looked at the floor. She said she'd been following my wife for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. My chest felt tight. I asked why she didn't tell me. She didn't answer right away. She just stood there, biting her lip, wringing her hands. And then she said something I didn't expect. "Because I needed to be sure, and because I wanted to help you." Help me? I didn't understand. Not yet. She sat down at the table and motioned for me to sit too. I didn't want to. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw something, but I sat. She unlocked her phone and started scrolling. She showed me timestamps, locations. She'd been tracking my wife's movements. She'd followed her to hotels, to restaurants, to his apartment. She had addresses, receipts, even voice memos. She'd recorded my wife on the phone with him, laughing, planning. My wife said things I'd never heard her say to me, sweet things. Intimate things. I felt sick. I asked her why she went through all this trouble. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Because you deserve better, and because I've been in love with you since the day we met." My brain short-circuited. I couldn't process it. My wife was cheating, and her sister was confessing feelings for me in the same conversation. I stood up. I told her I needed air. She grabbed my wrist, not hard, just enough to stop me. She said we needed to talk about this now, before I did something stupid, before I confronted my wife without a plan. I yanked my hand away. I told her this was insane. She nodded. She said it was. But she also said my wife didn't deserve a warning. She deserved consequences, and if I played this right, I could walk away with everything. The house. The savings. My dignity. I asked her what she meant. She leaned back in her chair and smiled. Not a kind smile. A sharp one. She said, "I've been documenting everything. If you want, I can help you take her down. Legally, publicly, completely." I should have said no. I should have walked out, but I didn't, because part of me wanted revenge, and she knew it. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about the photos, about the lies, about how my wife kissed me goodbye every morning and then went to him. I wondered how long it had really been going on. Months, years. I felt like an idiot. I replayed every moment, every late work night, every girl's trip, every time she said she was too tired. It all made sense now, and it made me furious. But I also kept thinking about what my sister-in-law said, about helping me, about being in love with me. That part felt wrong. She was family. She was married to my wife's brother. This was messy. This was dangerous. But when I closed my eyes, all I could see was my wife laughing in those photos. So I texted her, my sister-in-law. I told her I wanted to talk more. She replied in seconds. "Come over tomorrow, alone." Her house was quiet when I arrived. Her husband was at work. She said she made sure of that. We sat in her living room and she pulled out a folder, a thick one. Inside were printed photos, bank statements, text message screenshots, and a timeline she'd built herself. She'd been busy. She said she started suspecting something 2 months ago when my wife asked her to cover for her, to say they were together when they weren't. She refused, but she got curious, so she started watching. She hired someone to follow my wife, a private investigator. She paid out of her own pocket. I asked her why. Why go this far? She didn't hesitate. She said, "Because you're a good man, and she doesn't deserve you. I know what it's like to be betrayed. I won't let it happen to someone I care about." Her voice cracked. I realized she wasn't lying. She really did have feelings for me, and that terrified me. She laid out a plan. Step 1, don't confront my wife yet. Act normal. Pretend I don't know. Let her think she's still in control. Step 2, copy everything, bank records, emails, texts, build my own case. Step 3, file for divorce with evidence in hand. No negotiation, no second chances, clean break. She said if I did it right, I'd keep the house, the car, and most of our savings. My wife would get nothing. And the guy she was cheating with, she had a plan for him too. She found out he was married, with kids. She said we could send everything to his wife, ruin him the way he helped ruin me. I sat there staring at her. This woman had thought of everything, and part of me was grateful, but another part of me felt trapped, like I was making a deal with someone who had her own agenda. I asked her what she wanted in return. She smiled. Nothing, yet. I went home that night and my wife was cooking dinner. She smiled at me like nothing was wrong. She asked how my day was. I lied. I said it was fine. She talked about her day, about work, about her friends. I watched her mouth move and I didn't hear a word. I just kept thinking about the photos, about him, about how easily she lied. We ate together. We watched TV. She fell asleep on my shoulder. I sat there stiff as a board. I wanted to push her off. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I stayed calm. I played the role. And when she went to bed, I stayed up. I went through her phone while she slept. I found the messages. Hundreds of them. Some were deleted, but I recovered them. I took screenshots of everything. I sent them to myself. Then I deleted the sent messages. She never knew. I was learning, and I was getting angry. The next day, my sister-in-law called. She said she had more. She met me at a coffee shop. She showed me hotel receipts. My wife had used our joint credit card. She didn't even try to hide it. I felt humiliated. She said this was good. It made the case stronger. She also told me she'd contacted a lawyer for me. Someone discreet. Someone who specialized in infidelity cases. I didn't ask her to do that, but she did it anyway. I was starting to realize she was taking control, and I was letting her. She reached across the table and touched my hand. She said, "You're not alone in this. I'm here. I'll always be here." Her eyes were soft, too soft. I pulled my hand back. I told her I appreciated her help, but I needed space. She nodded, but I could see the hurt in her face. I left feeling more confused than ever. That weekend, my wife said she was going to a spa day with friends. I knew it was a lie, so I followed her. I parked a block away and watched. She met him at a hotel. They kissed in the parking lot, long, slow, like they had all the time in the world. I wanted to get out of the car. I wanted to confront them right there. But I didn't. I sat there. I watched. I recorded it on my phone, and I felt something inside me break. Not sadness, not heartbreak, just cold, hard anger. When she came home that night, she was glowing. She said the spa was amazing. She said she felt so relaxed. I nodded. I smiled. I said I was glad. And then I went to the garage and punched a hole in the drywall. I didn't feel better. I just felt more trapped. My sister-in-law texted me that night. She said she knew where I'd been. She said she was proud of me for not confronting them. She said it showed strength. I didn't feel strong. I felt weak. I felt stupid. She asked if I wanted to meet again. I said no. She called me. She begged me not to shut her out. She said she was the only one who understood, the only one who cared. I told her I needed time. She went quiet. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. "I've been patient for years. Don't make me regret helping you." I hung up. I stared at the phone. I realized I wasn't just dealing with my wife's betrayal anymore. I was dealing with someone who thought she owned me, someone who thought I owed her, and I didn't know how to get out of it. The next morning, my wife told me she wanted to talk. My heart stopped. I thought she knew. I thought my sister-in-law told her, but she didn't. She said she wanted us to take a trip, just the two of us. Reconnect. She said she felt like we'd been distant lately. I almost laughed. I almost told her everything right there. But I didn't. I said sure. I said that sounded nice. She hugged me. She said she loved me. I didn't say it back. I couldn't. I just stood there feeling her arms around me and feeling absolutely nothing. That night, I got a text from my sister-in-law. "Don't go on that trip. She's planning something. Trust me." I didn't respond, but I didn't book the trip either. I told my wife I couldn't get the time off work. She seemed disappointed, but she didn't push it, and I started wondering what she was really planning. I met with the lawyer my sister-in-law recommended. He was sharp, professional. He looked at all the evidence I'd gathered and said it was a strong case. He said I could file for divorce on grounds of adultery. He said with this much proof I'd likely get a favorable settlement. He asked if I wanted to proceed. I hesitated. He asked why. I told him the truth. I told him about my sister-in-law, about her feelings, about how she'd been the one to gather most of this. He leaned back in his chair. He said, "You need to be careful. If she's involved in your case, it could complicate things, especially if your wife finds out." I asked what he meant. He said it could look like we conspired, like we were having an affair, even if we weren't. I hadn't even thought of that. I left his office feeling trapped all over again. I stopped responding to my sister-in-law's messages. She didn't like that. She started showing up. At my work, at the gym, at the grocery store. She said it was coincidence, but I knew better. She'd ask how I was, if I'd made a decision, if I still trusted her. I kept my answers short. I kept my distance. But she wasn't giving up. One night, she showed up at my house. My wife was out. She said we needed to talk. I let her in. Big mistake. She sat on my couch and started crying. She said she'd done everything for me. She said she loved me. She said my wife didn't deserve me and that we could be happy together. I told her to stop. I told her I wasn't leaving my wife for her. I was leaving because of what my wife did, not because of her. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. Then she stood up. And she said, "Fine, but you'll regret this." 2 days later, my wife confronted me. She said someone sent her photos of me and her sister, at the coffee shop, at the lawyer's office, sitting in my car together. My wife was furious. She accused me of cheating with her own sister. I couldn't believe it. I asked her who sent the photos. She wouldn't say, but I knew. My sister-in-law did this. She was trying to flip the story, to make me look guilty, to control the narrative. I tried to explain. I told my wife the truth. About the cheating, about the evidence, about everything. She denied it. She called me a liar. She said I was deflecting. She said I was the one having an affair. And for a moment, I realized how smart my sister-in-law had been. She made sure I looked just as guilty, maybe more. I was cornered, and I didn't know how to fight back. I called the lawyer. I told him what happened. He said we needed to act fast. He said we should file immediately before my wife did. He said we'd present all the evidence at once. Prove her infidelity. Prove I was gathering evidence, not having an affair. But I needed to cut ties with my sister-in-law completely. No contact, no meetings, nothing. He said if she kept inserting herself, it would destroy my case. I agreed. I blocked her number. I blocked her on everything. That night, she came to my door. I didn't answer. She knocked for 10 minutes. She screamed through the door. She said I was making a mistake. She said she'd tell everyone the truth, her version of the truth. I sat on the floor on the other side of the door and listened to her fall apart. And I realized I'd been played by 2 people, not just one. My wife moved out the next day. She went to stay with her brother, her sister's husband. I wondered if she knew what her sister had done, if anyone did. I filed for divorce that week. I submitted every piece of evidence. The photos, the texts, the hotel receipts, the timeline. My lawyer said it was airtight, but I still felt uneasy because my sister-in-law had copies of everything too, and I didn't know what she'd do with them. A few days later, I got a message from an unknown number. It was her. She said, "You chose wrong. Now you'll see what happens when you throw away someone who really loved you." I didn't respond. I changed my locks. I installed cameras. I stopped going to places she knew I'd be. I became paranoid, and I hated it. I hated that both of them had this power over me. The divorce moved forward. My wife didn't fight the evidence. She couldn't, but she did fight for money, for the house, for anything she could get. Her lawyer tried to bring up my meetings with her sister, tried to paint me as unfaithful. My lawyer shut it down. He presented phone records, surveillance footage, proof that I was only ever meeting her to gather evidence about my wife. The judge wasn't impressed with my wife's defense, but the case dragged on. Months passed. I lived alone. I barely slept. I kept waiting for my sister-in-law to do something, to release those photos, to ruin me publicly, but she didn't, not yet, and that scared me more than anything. Because I knew she was waiting, planning. She always had a plan. Then one day I got a call from her husband, my wife's brother. He said he needed to talk. We met at a bar. He looked exhausted. He said his wife had been acting strange, obsessive. He found a folder in her office, full of photos of me, of my wife, of everything. He asked me what was going on. I didn't know what to say, so I told him the truth, all of it. He sat there silent for a long time. Then he said, "She's been lying to me too." He said she told him she was helping me out of kindness, that I was like a brother to her. But he found journal entries, letters she never sent. She'd been obsessed with me for years, long before my wife cheated. He said he was filing for divorce too, and he said he was sorry. Sorry he didn't see it sooner. Sorry his family was broken. I told him it wasn't his fault, but I wasn't sure I believed that. My wife found out about her sister's obsession. Her brother told her. She called me for the first time in months. She was crying. She said she didn't know. She said her sister had been poisoning her, encouraging her to cheat, telling her I didn't appreciate her, pushing her toward the other man. She said she realized now that her sister had been playing both of us, trying to break us apart so she could have me. I didn't know what to say. Part of me felt vindicated, but another part of me felt disgusted. My wife had still cheated. She'd still lied. Her sister didn't force her to do that. I told her that. She went quiet. Then she said, "I know, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know the truth." We hung up, and I felt nothing. No relief, no closure, just emptiness. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. I kept the house. I kept most of the savings. My wife didn't fight anymore. She moved to another city. I heard she broke things off with the guy she was seeing. I didn't care. I just wanted it over. My sister-in-law's divorce was finalized around the same time. I didn't go to any hearings. I stayed far away. But I heard things. She lost custody of her kids. Her obsession had been documented. Her husband had proof she'd been stalking me. The judge didn't look kindly on that. She tried to reach out one last time. She sent a letter to my house. I didn't open it. I threw it away. I didn't want to know what she had to say. I didn't want her in my life in any way. I was done. I was finally free, or so I thought. Months passed. I started therapy. I started rebuilding. I went on a few dates, nothing serious. I wasn't ready, but I was trying. Then one day I saw her, my sister-in-law, at a grocery store. She looked different. Tired, thin. She saw me too. She didn't approach. She just stared. I turned and walked away. My heart was pounding. I thought it was over. I thought she'd moved on. But seeing her reminded me that some people never let go. Some people hold on to things that were never theirs to begin with. I got to my car and sat there for 10 minutes, just breathing, just reminding myself that I was safe, that she couldn't hurt me anymore. But I also knew I'd probably never feel completely free of her, or my ex-wife. They'd always be shadows in my life, quiet reminders of what I survived. I got a call from my ex-wife's brother a few weeks later. He said his ex-wife, my former sister-in-law, had moved across the country. He said she'd started fresh somewhere else. New job, new life. He said she was in therapy too. He didn't apologize for her. He just wanted me to know she was gone. I thanked him. I asked how he was doing. He said he was better. His kids were adjusting. He was dating someone new, someone kind. He said he hoped I was doing okay too. I told him I was trying. We didn't talk long, but it felt good. Like we were both finally moving forward. Like we'd both survived something terrible and came out the other side. Not unscathed, but alive. And maybe that was enough. I think about it sometimes, about how everything unraveled, about how two people I trusted betrayed me in completely different ways. My wife broke my heart, my sister-in-law tried to own it, and I almost let both of them destroy me. But I didn't. I fought back. I took control. I walked away. It wasn't easy. It wasn't clean. But it was necessary. I learned that people aren't always who they say they are. That love can be twisted into something ugly. That obsession can look like care. And that sometimes the people closest to you are the most dangerous. I'm still healing. I'm still learning to trust again. But I'm here. I'm standing. And that's more than I thought I'd be a year ago. Looking back now, I realized the scariest part wasn't the cheating. It was the manipulation. The way my sister-in-law made herself seem like my savior while she was really trying to control me. The way my wife let herself be influenced and still made her own choices to betray me. Both of them saw me as something to win or control, not as a person. I had to learn my worth wasn't tied to either of them. I had to learn to walk away even when it hurt, even when it was messy. So if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted or manipulated by someone who claimed to care, I want you to know you're not alone. You deserve honesty. You deserve respect. And you deserve people who see you as a human being, not a prize. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have trusted the sister-in-law's help or walked away the moment she confessed her feelings? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. Thanks for sticking with me through this whole story here on King's Revenge Vault. It means more than you know. Take care of yourselves out there.